This is Professor Daniel. Let's see, this is probably for my CAS233 class mostly, but I just wanted to double hit on something. Wanted to make sure you understood the package concept and sort of the ideas behind it. So on your Module 3, OWL card, and all your assignments after this, I'll sort of expect you to turn in all the files that are associated with your Illustrator file, plus a PDF. And one way for you to package up anything that's like an image that's used, the fonts that are used, and without having to look around on your machine, is just have Illustrator do it for you. And they've got this really great function called Package. And what it was intended for was to sort of archive a project or to give it to a client, and that way all the images that were used are going to be embedded in it with all the fonts and such. It's really useful for printers. Adobe InDesign does it. I kind of wish all my projects does it. Adobe After Effects does something like it. Premiere does something like it. Basically, it's like you've got all these files on your machine living on different drives and thumb drives in the cloud, and then you say, hey, can you just throw these all together in one place so that I can back it up or turn it in to my teacher who is crazy. So anyway, here's how we do that sort of thing. I've got my Adobe Illustrator file, and let me make myself mini-me, and then I go File, Package, and by default all the settings are checked. I want to leave them all checked. I want to know where I'm putting it so I can find it. I'm just going to go to my desktop so I can find it. And by default, it names it the name of the file into a folder holding all this stuff. So just you could go M3 whatever I'm making you name things these days. I'm gonna just put that because I don't quite remember. But do what I say or something like that so I can find your stuff. But anyway, so package, and then what that looks like, what it just created for me, was a folder that has fonts. I don't have any images here, otherwise it would make an images folder or links folder with a bunch of pictures there if they were in there. But what I like about it the most is it makes this text file which sort of talks about, oh, it's in CMYK space, it's 5.5 by 5, it's got it's not missing any fonts, it doesn't have any protected fonts that aren't packaged. If you use something from the cloud, it'll at least put the name of it so that somebody can find it and get their hands on it and make the document look good, or as the designer intended. Okay. And the only other thing that we have to do in our class is I make you turn in a PDF too, and a PDF is just another insurance policy against having it work. So sometimes you'll have a different version of Illustrator on your machine. You'll have downloaded, someone 3 steps ahead of me because I have this old clunky equipment, and I can open a PDF. And I can often open a PDF in Illustrator, and just to see what you were doing or if there's any troubleshooting. So it's a great thing to do just to get in the habit of. It's a very standard format. If somebody doesn't have Illustrator on their machine, they're going to be able to look at the PDF and know what you're talking about, and you can have a conversation with them. So here I'm going to go File, Save a Copy, and make sure that I've got a PDF in that same folder. And I'm just going to leave it. Here's where I change it. I'll leave a copy. I do that just so I don't accidentally write on top of things, but I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to leave these settings as they are, but I want you to know that if you wanted it to be a smaller file, or you didn't want your client to be able to open it in Illustrator and edit it because you wanted them to pay you to do that, you could uncheck things like preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. That would make it a flat document, and they couldn't just open it up and see like that I've got this thing cover, inside, back, logo, guides, these layers. 100% equal to an Illustrator file if you if you leave that unchecked. But please, in our class, just leave it checked because it makes a better file for me if it's troubleshooting or having trouble with anything. So save PDF. Okay, and then it's just popping up to sort of show me because I've got my machine set to do that. And then here, okay, so I've got my Illustrator Generator Package. The only other thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to compress this, turn it into a zip file in order to upload that to D2L to turn it in. And the reason we do that is because a zip file is a very hard place to put viruses. Or, I mean, it's not impossible, but a lot of times the internet won't know what to do with the .ai file, or it won't know what to do with you know, anything that's not like a standard JPEG or PDF. So we zip it and compress it into another package, send it to you in your attached email, or put it on your Google Drive, and then we download it and it uncompresses on your machine. It also takes up a little less space. So some of the reasons we do it in our class. On the Macintosh, I just right-click on this and I pick compress. On the PC, it's a slightly different name, and I can't remember what exactly it is, but in the Module 3 content, they'll go into, there's a link there you can follow how to do it on a PC. But basically, you right-click and you pick something that sounds like compress. It might even say zip. And so it does that, and so now this zip file is it's an exact copy of this that could be unzipped or zipped or whatever. You can even rename it before you turn it in. It won't rename what it unzips into, but at least it'll have your name on the outside if you are so inclined. You know, like a lot of you turn in, you're like, oh, I forgot to put this in to, you know, module 3B, module 3C, module 3. You cannot turn in too many of these, and that's one reason I just leave it like wide open. So I always just grade on the last one, or, you know, figure it all out from your notes. Okay. Anyway. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in Zoom Lab or around our beautiful town. Thanks.